Hello, hi. I am going live today with a friend of mine called Jesse Boudreau, and he is the life cultivationist on Instagram. And we're just going to be chatting a bit about juicing, and he's just joining. All right. Hello, Jesse. Yeah, so we're just going to be chatting a little bit about nutrition, getting the most nutrition from food. I'm not an expert on that, Jesse is. And also, Jesse is a permaculturist and farmer, so he knows a lot about growing stuff. So I just thought about, because of supply chain stuff that's going on, that it would be useful to see what we could grow at home. So that's it. So hey, Jesse, how you doing, brother?
Hey there, Simon. Doing good, buddy. Good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. Looks like the weather's doing good there.
Yeah, it's been in and out of cold and warm, and I'm taking some advantage of some sun time.
Amazing. So yeah. I thought we'd keep our chat here. I'm going to put a timer on, but just like 15 minutes. And you're a wealth of knowledge. I know about growing food and nutrition and yeah, a lot of stuff along that lines and permaculture. So I thought it'd be awesome for you to maybe share some of that with people, because I was just saying, because obviously there's a lot of stuff in the news about supply chains and stuff like that, and that we moved away a lot from growing things at home and like being self-sufficient, and even like victory gardens and stuff from back in the war and stuff. Like people have moved away from that, and we just kind of, maybe a lot of people living from a box of food as opposed to out of the ground. So I thought I could get some of your information on that to share with other people. So
awesome, my favorite stuff.
All right. So we've done juicing before, so I thought maybe you could start on. Now, a lot of people I know are in Canada, so obviously it's pretty cold there, and it's not great for growing in the winter. But indoors, I know that people grow sprouts and stuff like that. So I thought maybe you could shed some light on that and the options that people maybe have for kind of growing at home.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sprouting is the first thing that comes to mind because it's so easy, you know, and it's actually super nutrient dense food. Activated seed has as much as 200% the bioavailability and nutritional density of the seed itself, you know. So we've, over the years, definitely done a lot of sprouting and soaking. It gets very cold here in New Mexico also. And we grow things in pots indoors also, kale and lettuces and herbs, you know, oregano and thyme and, you know, lemon balm. And you know, there's quite a few things. Instead of having, you know, tropical potted plants, you know, in my, you know, desert house that are hard to, you know, keep alive and keep it moist enough and everything, you know, I have food plants. So we actually have some small citrus trees inside. You can grow tomatoes, though, you know, depending on the light, you might not get a whole lot, you know.
Okay. So like, is that something you've done before as well, where you bring in like UV lights and stuff like that? So you have like an indoor growing, or?
No, here you can see sort of the south side of my house here. Yeah. You know, I live on a permaculture homestead, and that was part of the design of the house, is to have the orientation to be south facing. So we get a lot of light and warmth just from the sun. And so I can grow things in the windows, you know, and so forth. But yeah, you can use UV lights and what have you. Now, if you're talking about, you know, food shortages and winter time and etc., if the power goes down, then that's your food system too, you know.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, you know, really, it's the kind of thing that, like, I personally have been striving towards a naturalistic lifestyle for 20 years, you know, where you're actually dialing into the seasons, and you kind of got your consciousness pitched at least one season ahead in terms of your, you know, foresight and planning, you know. So naturally, in this part of the world and many others, at this time of year, or by this time of year, people had harvested, you know, nuts and roots and berries and, you know, greens and everything, and dried them and, you know, prepared them, the corn, the beans, etc. So, you know, I think that is going to become the conversation going towards the future. You know, we have sort of a concrescence of crises that are impacting us simultaneously, where we have, you know, the economic crisis, the pandemic crisis, you know, the health, you know, and wellness crisis, the social crises. And I feel these are all tied to our activity and the way we've been sort of, as a race, very self-preoccupied. And that part of our ecological niche is actually to garden the planet. And so, you know, I think this potential of this crisis we're going through is an evolution to move back to the foundation, or forward to the foundation of life, which is nature itself. And, you know, we're, as bioaccumulators at the top of the food chain, we, you know, accumulate most of the toxicity that we put in the world. And so that's why cancer is an incidence of 1 and 2. So once we start to get it, you know, that this is the sort of the action consequence karma of our activity, you know, it gives us the, you know, occasion to take on the responsibility, you know, to take care of our world. So that's a whole aside, but I wanted to make a note too about survival foods through the winter, because you know, especially for your friends in Canada, there's so many things through the winter, even, you know, like you can make, of all the pine needle trees, you can make a wonderful vitamin C rich tea. It's actually very helpful and preventative against cold and flu. There's you can eat the inner bark of all pines and all poplars and make, you know, there's the way to do that is you want to use a stick and not the trunk of the tree, and you don't want to girdle the tree. There's, you know, there's ways, but, you know, it's a good thing to start exploring, you know, just foraging, because there's a ton of food already out there. There's also roots. Like if the ground is exposed and you can tell there's dandelions, you can harvest the dandelion roots all winter long. There's things like rose hips that will dry on the plant, or crab apples, and just sort of slowly ferment and turn into like a fruit leather that you could eat all year, you know. So, and then there's the whole thing of the question of, you know, I'm into the pranic sciences and juicing and everything, cleaning up your fasting, cleaning up your body so that it actually doesn't need as much, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yes, that leads me on to as well, because I know that we spoke about juicing before, and I learned a lot from you, which has been awesome. And from, like, I mean, the biggest thing I got from it was maybe getting more, my perspective anyway, was getting more nutrition from a smaller amount of food actually by juicing, because you said, obviously, if you could explain a little bit more about how it can more easily get into the body and stuff, I guess. So,
well, it's not necessarily a smaller amount of food, but it's more nutrient dense.
Okay.
So what you're doing is taking a lot of, like this juice I'm drinking now is 6 superfood salads worth of juice, you know, that has been, this is from the company I work with, and so it's been pressed and specially dried, you know, so it's raw and has its enzymes intact. That's part of the thing. You want to have these enzymes intact, and you want to have the micronutrient to fuel your cells. Okay. All your cells run off electricity and, you know, an ATP. And what happens is they get degraded and they get sort of lazy and lackadaisical if they're toxic and covered in fats, you know. And so juicing washes the cells and detoxifies the cells and then supplants it with dense nutrient. And this makes the cells more electric, you know. And you can find that you actually, if you start exploring with fasting, even just intermittent fasting, whether you're juicing or not, you'll start to be like, wow, I didn't realize I didn't really need that. That was just a practice. That's something that's been my habit, you know. And we often eat for emotional reasons, for social reasons, for so many things other than nutrition, you know. One has to marvel at all the stuff that actually pours through our bodies that we have to, you know, our bodies have to process. And that takes, you know, up to 70% of your, you know, cellular energy to do the digestion. So juices are easy to digest, bioavailable, nutrient rich way to make your whole life more electric.
So So on that side, if you're so if it's kind of easier to go into the system, do you using less energy basically to digest your food? Is that kind of what I'm getting?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Less, and your body has more energy for like cellular metabolism and repair.
Okay.
You know, so
you
there's a lot.
you haven't eaten a solid food for a long time, right? Is that right?
I tell everybody I'm like 98% liquiditarian because I still eat
Okay.
seaweed. Seaweed snacks are my crutch.
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, that's the only thing that I eat that's solid.
How many years has that been?
That's 4 years, going on 5 years.
Wow.
And it's been an amazing experience. My health, energy, and vitality I'm 45. I feel like the body of an 18-year-old. I run around and take care of my homestead. I have 3 boys. I have 3 businesses, and we're just out here having fun. So,
cool.
and I really thrill on the empowerment that this lifestyle, imparts. And so super glad to share it.
And then you, if I remember rightly, you work with a company that does juicing stuff, right? Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I work with a company called Purium, which I really, the quality of food is a major, to me, for my health path and also just sort of my spiritual path has become, a point of focus, the quality. And so for years I've been growing and gathering and very, kind of purist of heart and mind. So I would eat from the co-op or the farmer's market. And then I would go to like, your Whole Foods or your natural grocers, whatever. Purium now I put in between the farmer's market and the other food stores because they have, on the one hand, the founder was one of the people who started the organic standards for the world and helped at the I can't remember her name right now, Ann Wigmore Clinic, where they did a lot of research and therapy for cancer and other diseases with juicing, and brought back the ancient grains from Egypt, of wheat to make wheatgrass juices. So this was formulated, for that, and they have a really high standard of quality because a lot of organics that we buy are just downwind, downstream from, places that are spraying. And so unfortunately, they're just as affected almost as the stuff that's conventional, so to me, it's a matter of that quality. And then with my juicing lifestyle and my busy lifestyle, it's very handy. And it's something I can get to people because that's something, as an herbalist, I'm also a herbalist. For years, I was having trouble getting a lot of people to follow protocol that I would give them, and this gives me something that's organized and structured in such a way that is so simplistic that people can jump onto it. And to me, it's in a way, it's this pranic activation, a way to get your body more attenuated to the subtle energies of the universe. We're energy beings in the sea of energy. And, so it's sort of a remembering that's coming back, I think, that we're much more powerful than we imagine, that our thoughts create, and that our bodies are magical vessels, time machines. And when we start treating our minds and our bodies in the appropriate way with loving care and discipline, and we can achieve amazing things and do amazing things. Cool.
So on that side of stuff, if people are interested in the juicing stuff and any knowledge, or even the Purium stuff, they could reach out to you, and I'll tag you in the video when I'm done here, so they can reach out for that. The last, because we have a couple more minutes, and there's another one I did want to put. So we spoke a little bit about different types of food that people can kind of grow at home. We spoke a bit about juicing, but I also wanted to talk about how to keep food for a little bit longer, because I know that you do a lot of canning. I think I've seen you do canning anyway, or something similar to that. So you can maybe go a bit over that. So
yeah, we try to cover the whole, in our classes that we share here at our homestead. We're trying to cover the whole gambit of, like, natural living, permaculture, food forest, design, foraging, herbalism, and food storage. So we do a lot of lacto fermentation, and this is a great way to gather the indigenous microorganisms from your area and imbibe them and become more sort of indigenous, in a way, especially if you're bringing in the wild foods. This is like, informing your biology. I think of our biology as almost like a computer, and nature's things are like data downloads, fractal data downloads, crystal and fractal data downloads that we can take in, and that, will change the system, so it's really a magical thing once you start getting into, and we can achieve really amazing states of health if we just apply a lot of these practices that ancients did all the time. So lacto fermentation, in case you're not familiar with it,
No.
so that's basically like sauerkraut or
Okay.
kimchi.
Yeah, I love those.
But you can do it with anything. You can do it with salsa. You can do it with avocados. You can do it with lettuce.
Okay.
You can do, and it makes things more shelf stable, and it makes them rich in the microorganisms, which more than 90% of our bodies are comprised of these microorganisms, and they really are the functioning part of a huge part of our functional immune system. So you can make to simply put it, you can chop up your veggies, like we'll take the example of just the cabbage, because that's and you chop it up to expose the surface area, and you add salt. There's many recipes online. I really suggest the book Nourishing Traditions for some of this information. Got a great book full of good information, recipes, all kinds of stuff. And then you massage it, and you can just ferment it on your counter in a mason jar. You want to leave like at least an inch from the top for air, and I'll often leave one of the cabbage leaves so that I can kind of place it over all the stuff, so I keep it under the water level. This is an anaerobic process, so you want to make sure it's under the water so that the anaerobic microorganisms can proliferate, and you don't get bad microorganisms, bacteria. If you do, you can just take off the top bit, and it's okay.
I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah.
Because I've tried it, and I would get this, sometimes I get like a skin on top, and then I was wondering if I'd kind of messed it up, basically, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, everything below that is fine. That's the way to like kind of protect it, is you put like a cabbage leaf, or if whatever else you're dealing with, try to leave a large piece that you can just put over the top. Some people will have like a fermentation rock that they keep real clean, that they can stick in there. And then you can just lightly close the lid and, leave it on your counter. You can also get these little bubbler locks that'll just let the gas out, but won't let, air or pathogens in. I've done all manner. And people, in the old days, like, in ships and of people coming across the ocean, that was the way they, managed to not get scurvy, were these ferments. And oftentimes, and still even today in Germany, like if it hasn't fermented for at least 2 months, it's not really ready, in terms of flavor and potency. So it's that thing, a lot of people will get a crock, and you can just constantly keep adding to the crock. So other methods of food storage are things like drying, which is very easy for me here in the Southwest. We can dry anything easily in the sun, and we make sun-baked breads and stuff for the family, and dry our tomatoes in the sun, and we actually have a solar oven over here that will have that sun-fired food. It's kind of part of our vibrational cooking, and and you can just also make like ristras of like apples and dangle them in the windows, depending on where you're at, or dehydrate them with a dehydrator or solar dehydrator. I'm really keen to those things that are non-mechanical, that we can make or repair, that are, like a sail on a sailboat. You can get all around the ocean, but it has no motor, and it takes a skill set, but we can go through whatever rapids that are awaiting us if we tap into this inner resource that we all have, every single person imbued with infinite inner resource. And then applying everyone's, imaginative and ingenuitive. Having trouble with my words today. But, we can start to together, envision, there's so much finger pointing of like, oh, they're taking this from us. And let's take all that energy and quit giving our energy to that. And let's put it over here to creating something new and something.
Yeah, I'm going to be, hopefully next week, I'm going to be chatting with a guy called Roberto from Crop Swap.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so hopefully I'm going to have a chat with him and then share a little bit about what he's doing as well, kind of in the US. And maybe that gets shared kind of globally as well around Europe and stuff as well. So
yeah, I think this is new old consciousness arising. And this, to me, it's the life I would choose anyways. It's more fulfilling to have these connections and relationships, to have good health, and to care about. It's more natural to human beings to care about the world and nurture things than it is for us to be in division.
Yeah, totally. I think it is. It's almost like it's a form of self-love as well, right? When you start to see everything around us that we're kind of connected to, that when we're loving towards it, we're kind of loving to ourselves at the same time. That's kind of how I see it anyway. So
100%. This is my health path, my spiritual path. I see, being exposed to the elements of earth, wind, fire, and water every day benefits me. And I've learned, I used to think that human beings were bad for the earth. Now I've seen through my activity that we can be good for the earth. Yeah. And that's more of our function.
Yeah, so. And I think a lot of it is education or lack of, right? I mean, I grew up kind of a bit of a farm and stuff, so I kind of had some education on it, but a lot of people don't have it, and they don't have access to that stuff either. So that's kind of, although this isn't fully what I do, I mean, mostly I'm doing energy healing and stuff like that and spiritual guidance, but I still see this as a major part of this. And it connects. Yeah, I'm keen to share more of this so people can learn, because and it's a big subject. If you've never done it before, it seems overwhelming, but I find like if you just chip away little bits at a time, that it can become normal, and then it's kind of easy. So
that's what we teach in our herbalism classes, is like, if you can, it's better to know the 40 uses of one plant than the one use of 40 plants. Oh. And there seems to be all this stuff, but like dandelion, I always make dandelion an example. Because everyone knows it. If you eat the entire plant, roots, leaves, flowers, and seeds, you get the complete food. You have carbohydrates, omegas, and all the minerals you need. And it's good for liver function and kidney function. It's an amazing plant, and you have to try to kill it, versus a lot of the other weeds in your garden, or plant, even the things you're trying to grow, like your cabbages, like you have to nurture those and everything. Yeah. Like the dandelion wants to be there.
Oh, I had a garden full of those in Canada. So
yeah. Salad bar.
So we've hit like 22 minutes. I'm going to keep it a little bit shorter here. And I know that the two of us can talk for literally hours. So could you share how people could reach you? That would be awesome.
Yeah, you can reach out to me at www.ziapermaculture.com. That's our website, or ziaenergeticsllc@gmail is our email. Okay. Or you can just look for me on Instagram. I'm the Life Cultivationist with _ in between all the words, and I'm also on Facebook and YouTube as Jesse Cree.
Awesome. So I will when I'm hopefully I can post this afterwards, and I'll post it and I'll put your details on there, and then people hopefully can reach out to you if they want to learn some more about this stuff. So
love to be of service. Love to connect with you always, Simon.
Amazing.
Appreciate you
again. Love you, man.
Love you, bro. Be well.
See ya.